think the hardest thing when you're coaching high performers is you have to add value, right? Like I look at Sebastian or Brennan, those two guys, or Franco Tavera, or Gareth Roberts. I mean, there's just, Fareed. There's lots of people that are like, they don't need me. They're doing fine on their own. I do have to drive myself a little crazy sometimes to ask, okay, Jamie, what value can you bring to these guys? I want to add value. I'm not along for a free ride. I'm not looking for my meal tickets here. I want to add value. So what can I do? And I think it's a different answer for each person. But I do like that mentality of it's your job as a leader to add value to your people. You need to figure out exactly what that is. Like, they're high performers. Like, they're self-motivated. They don't need you. Like, think of how insulting it would be to somebody. If I'm self-motivated, I'm a Michael Jordan kind of guy. Listen, I'm in the gym early. Nobody's got to tell me to do it. And yet you're micromanaging me and telling me what to do. I'd be totally insulted. Like, you think I'm a child? You're treating me like some of these other players that, they're they're partying all night. They're eating French fries all the time. Like, they're not doing their part. And you're talking to me like I'm one of those guys. Like, dude, I'm Michael Jordan. Right. So again, you can't walk in with this default of I'm here to, motivate my team or inspire my team. No, they're doing just fine in that department on their own. The question you need to ask yourself again is, what can I do to help them go from great to unbelievable? Is there something? Can I take them to a seminar? Can I, maybe I should ask them that blunt question, like, what do you need from me? I remember I asked that question to Brennan I don't know, a couple years ago, 3 years ago, because I'm looking at Brennan like, dude, you are running the business the way it is supposed to be ran on so many levels. Okay, even on like frugality, you go into his office, it is not. I mean, he subscribes to my school of business on frugality. He picks me up in his truck. It's not a Ferrari or a Lamborghini. It's a truck he's picking me up in. And so I love how Brennan runs his business. And so I'm like, I don't know if there's any value I can bring Brennan. And so I asked him bluntly, I'm like, hey, so what can I do for you? Here's the role that I have. I mean, you didn't grow up in my office. You grew up in Sab's office, but, we know each other, and, I have interest in your business, and I want to see you succeed. And he didn't give me an answer right away. He needed to think about it. So 2-3 days later, he got back to me. I'll spare you the details on what exactly he needed, but that's the role that I took. I have to add value. He is a super high performer, doesn't need me on his crew, or does he? And the reality is actually he does. And every high performer does. Every high performer needs something. And gee, I wish we all had kind of almost like the role of like a godparent, if you will. I remember first time I was asked to be a godparent. What exactly does the role of godparent mean? And I got the definition. It's like, oh, you are the spiritual leader of that child. That you are to hold the parents accountable to the spiritual development of that kid. I'm like, oh. And then I asked the parents, I'm like, you sure you want me to be the godparent? Let me think about that, Jay. Like, do we really want you holding us accountable to the spiritual growth of our kid? Let me get back to you on that. But I kind of think that that's a role that we all have to take. Maybe not so much the spiritual growth, but like the stuff that other people aren't seeing. If we all had somebody kind of above us helping to pull us up the ladder. Again, you're a high performer, you're kicking ass, taking names, like you're doing your stuff, but there's somebody trying to help pull you up to another level. I think we all need that. Guys like Gary Polson, he's like that for me. He's making sure that my dad role, that I can check those boxes properly. I want to meet up with him for business, and he changes the subject all the time to how you doing in your marriage, Jamie? How you doing as a dad? I'm like, Gary, I don't want to talk to you about my marriage or my children. I want to talk to you about some business stuff. Let's get down to some work here. And again, it all comes down, hey, you'll figure out your business stuff. Like, you'll get that. You're an ambitious guy. You're a go-getter guy. I want to make sure you're right in marriage. I want to make sure you're right as a dad. You can't screw those ones up. So again, here's a guy like he's seeing a bigger picture that I'm not even seeing yet. I've always appreciated and loved that about Gary. So I think that's a role we all have to embrace with the high performers, is what can you do to add value to your people? That's every week when I do my weekly goals, that's the question I ask. I'm like, I always start with, well, who do I want to add value to? I just cherry pick. back when the crew was small, I didn't have to ask that question, right? Like, well, who? Well, I got 5 guys in my office. Like, you know, any, mini, miny, and mo, right? Like, just take your pick. Who's it going to be? But I pick, okay, so who do I want to add value? And then, well, what can I do? What value can I add to this person this week?